welcome to my overview of the FL horse racing software. I made this video because I think that this software would be better used slightly differently to the way Ross has been showing people that he uses it. And obviously this is just my own preference. I've been having a look and playing around with it, and so I thought I'd share with you how I would go about using this. And I'm going to explain why as well. So I've opened it up and we can see that we've got all of the races for today listed down here. And you can get a quick overview of all of the races just by clicking on the plus sign, and it gives you each horse and their corresponding ratings and then the total rating at the end, and we can go into details here. Alternatively, you can click on the overview button and we get a slightly different breakdown here. We get a percentages breakdown mainly. We get the FLR, which is the total rating made by the FL horse racing software, and then there's varying percentages. And we can go even further into the horse by clicking on details, and we see the breakdown of the FL horse racing rating here, like we saw on the quick link in the very first page. And then we get recent races and we can filter by it. Now, I suggest that this software is used as a quick form reader for people who like to do form analysis. It's much faster than using a website such as the Racing Post or any other website that has form on it, and you can find your contenders much quicker. The reason I wouldn't use this purely on betting a top-rated horse or betting the two top-rated horses is because the ratings are relatively simple. While being effective for what they're measuring, their construction is relatively simple. So let me explain that a bit further. So we can see here that the horse race rating here, we've got a favourite rating, days since last run. I mean, this is all good quality information. Has it won on the ground? Has it won on the course? I look at this as a better version of the Racing Post tick box when they have the tick stats underneath. This is a much better version of that. And then all of these different figures are added up together to give a total rating. And then there's a spread of rating, which shows you the difference between horses. So while that information is all very good, it is much better at indicating it, indicating winners with form reading, rather than being used as just a raw rating on its own. And this is nothing unusual. There are comparatively very few ratings that are powerful enough and publicly available that can just find winner and make profits by betting the top rated. If we go back to the main card, it's a shame we can't move these columns or lose them because we have place percentages as well, and unless you're specifically focusing on finding horses that are going to place, then they're not very useful and they just get in the way a little bit. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how I would personally use this software to find contenders very quickly and very effectively in a race. I would start by, I'm going to go back to the list of races. So we come to the list of races and I'm going to go to the overview of the race to start with. By default, the card is sorted by the FL horse racing rating, which is perfect. Next, I'm going to highlight the first horse, and I'm going to scan across this row and look for, only focus on the winning percentages, so that's WP at the end, not PP. So any that are PP at the end, I'm ignoring. I'm only focusing on WPs. So a quick scan across this line, and I can see that this runner has performed well over the going, pretty well over the distance. Not so hot on the class, but if we hover we can see there's only been one race. Pretty well over the race type. So there's a good few positives there, especially compared to the rest of the field. We can see at a glance that that's the strongest horse based on these factors. We go down to the next horse and we can see that they are all 0 for winning. So I wouldn't be interested in that runner. We come down to the next horse, American, and we can see that again most of them are 0, but we've got a good win at the class, decent at the race type, so that would be a consideration. And then there's no more runners we're interested in until we get to small fly, and we can see there's some information here, mainly placing information, so we would be ignoring that as well. And the other thing that is always worth to note is the all-time starts, which is in this column here. Always be wary of any horse that has 0. And now this runner, which doesn't have a name, has 0, so this may mean it's been pulled out or something else has happened to the runner because we haven't got a name for it. So we've narrowed it down to just 2 we'd be interested in a matter of moments. And that is Pender Ben and American Cricket. And we're going to look at the details on those. So I'll go to the detail, and first of all I'm looking at the top, and I can see the 5-star rating is 4 stars, and there are no tips. And if I scroll down, I'm interested in recent finishing positions. Okay, and as we can see here, recent positions have not been good. We have 1 place recently. Before that it was in November last year. So this isn't looking so good. But we do also notice that these are on heavy and softer goings. But while the Contender, there's concern over its recent performance. If we go back, we can have a look in detail at American Cricket. And we can see this 5-star rating, no tips. And if we scroll down, we can see that recent finish positions are significantly better than the previous horse we looked at. And we come back up. And it's always a good idea to have a quick look where it's making points here. So it's making points in the market, over the last 3 runs, and in the class. Now, for me, the most important would be the class, the market, and the last 3 runs. Days since last run isn't the strongest factor for me. 1 on ground is also a consideration, especially if the ground is an extreme soft or firm. Either way, that would make this much more a focus. With just a good ground today, less of a focus on that. So this horse would be my selection in this race. As you can see, I haven't just used the raw ratings here. In fact, this is a -2. It's the 3rd top rated. And depending on what odds are available, I might bet it to win or each way in the market. I have no idea whether it won, so let's take a look. 210 at Taunton, and the horse was American Cricket. Okay, 210. Okay, American Cricket came second, was the favourite in the end, and obviously if you bet to win you would have lost, and each way we would have won it. But for finding a horse that we thought would be a strong runner in the race, we narrowed it down very well. Okay, so let's take a look at another race. So I'm going to select the drop down and go to the 220. This is at Southwell, and we're going to use exactly the same process. So it's automatically sorted by the FL horse racing rating, and the top one, we can see at a glance that the top one is clearly the best performer on these figures. We've had 3 out of 7 wins on the course, 3 out of 10 wins on the going, 2 out of 7, 28% on distance. Nothing at the class, which has gives us a cause for concern, and the race type is good. So the only cause for concern there is class. Let's move down. 16% of wins on the going for our next runner, which is not so bad. But the good factor to look at here is we've had a win at this class level, so that's a strong in terms of indication for this runner, the class level, and run at the one at the race type as well. And then if we keep going down, this is a pretty small field. There's nothing standing out for this runner, and then we kind of start to drift off a little bit. But we come over to the all-time starts, and let's notice here that Chatterati has never run before. And that is something we must be wary of. Always be wary of a horse that we have no data for. So in fact, all of these zeros and this -3 is a little bit misleading, because this horse has no races behind it. And if we look at the details, it's had 1 tip, 2 stars, but its betting forecast is quite short, which would indicate that the horse has a chance. So we need to seriously consider Chatterati, just because we know nothing about it. Looking at the other two, we go to Samasana, or look at the details, and we can see the betting forecast is odds on, 5 stars, 1 tip up here. If we go down to look at recent performances, they've been excellent. Let's see, we've got market, which is good. Last 3 runs, which is good. Going, done well on. Course distance, in fact, the only downfall is the class, really. And so, since that's a downfall, let's just take a look. All its good performances have been in Class 6. And the higher classes we really have not performed very well in. So that is a real cause for concern. Let's have a look. If we go back, you can see the class of this race here is 5. And we haven't performed well in any race above a Class 6. So this would be a warning bell to me on Samasana. This class, it looks well set, but it looks like it could be very much outclassed. Okay, let's have a look at our other possible contender, which was a Veiled Speaker. Again, pretty short in the market. Not so good with a star rating. No tips. The strengths are on the... again, there's not so good on the course, but good on the ground, good over the last 3, good in the market here. Good in the class, which is interesting. And if we scroll down just to see recent races, and the performance has been, you know, alright at this class level. So that really leaves us with 2 possibles, a Veiled Speaker and Chatterati, because we know nothing about Chatterati. And those would be the possible contenders for me in this race. And how I would bet on those would be very much dependent on odds. If they were both around odds of 5.5, I might do a Dutch. And it depends how they drift. It might be more prudent to do one as a each way and the other as a win. And that would be very dependent on odds available at the time. Let's take a look at what happened in this race. Is the 220 at Southwell. Okay, so Chatterati won. That was the runner that hasn't raced before. And then a Veiled Speaker turned out to be the favourite and came second. And Samasana came third. So we would have got 1 and 2 in that analysis there. Which is pretty good going for, you know, 5 minutes or so work. So, in overview of the FL horse racing software, I would say that the strength in this software lies not in the ratings being used as an independent figures, but rather in them being used as a way to read the form of a horse quickly to pinpoint your contenders within a matter of 5 or 10 minutes in each race. For that, it is very effective. It's very quick and it's simple to use. If you want to find out more about the software, then you can do so by hitting the link below. And if you've got any questions about how I use this to read form quickly, then feel free to get in touch with me, send me an email, and I will get back to you with whatever help I can offer. Thanks for watching.